Pleasant greetings to all. Let me introduce a new word to you, one I coined, and the word is Pharisitism. There is a reason why we need to talk about being aware of our behavior and attitude when Pharisitism creeps in. First, let us go to definition of words here. So, what is a Pharisee? A Pharisee was a member of an ancient Jewish sect distinguished by strict observance but regarded as pretentious and self-righteous, well, at least by Jesus. Scholars say that no ancient Jewish group referred to themselves as Pharisees. Well, the label originated with people who did not belong to this group. By the way, as a footnote, did you know that the term Roman Catholic is not an official title used by the Vatican, by the bishops who are in full communion with the Pope, nor by our Catechism of the Catholic Church to refer to the faithful or to our church? You know, the last known usage of the title Roman Catholic Church was in 1950 by Pope Pius XII in his magisterial document Humani Generis, published in August 12, 1950. However, the title Roman Church was already in use since the Middle Ages, often to refer to a local church within the Diocese of Rome. But the first recorded appearance of the label Roman Catholic to refer to the Catholic Church was in 1208, after the East-West Schism, in a document of the Armenian Apostolic Church. Its use became widespread during the era of Protestant Reformation as a pejorative term used against Catholics. Together with this disparaging title were terms like Popish Catholic and Romish Catholic. So too, like the label Roman, Pharisee was a label used by those who did not belong to the group. At any rate, the term Pharisee is derived from ancient Greek pharisaios, meaning set apart or separated. A Pharisee is described as one who achieves perfectionism of purity and purification by meticulous observance of the ritual requirements of the Levitical Code. A Pharisee thus avoided the non-Pharisees as unclean. A Pharisee was a hypocritically self-righteous and condemnatory person who makes an exaggerated show of holiness or moral superiority. Their behavior was marked by obsessiveness with regard to the strict adherence to rules and formalities. Now we come to the term parasite. Well, a parasite, as we have learned from our high school biology class, is an organism living in, with, or on another organism as its host, which the parasite usually endures. From the Latin parasitus and the Greek parasitos, a parasite also refers to a person who lives by amusing the rich, or a person who eats at someone else's table. The Greek roots of parasite are para, meaning beside, and sitos, meaning grain or food. Well, today, a person who habitually takes advantage of the generosity or the weakness of others without making any useful return is described as a parasite. Or he is a person who lives off and flatters the rich, a sycophant or a subservient self-seeker who attempts to win favor by flattering influential people. Not a good person, no? Now we come to the term Pharisitism, a deadly combination of Phariseeism and parasitism. Pharisitism is the hypocritical observance of the letter of religious or moral law without regard for the spirit. Therefore, it refers to being religious but not spiritual. Pharisitism is an attitude marked by exaggerations and inconsiderateness, usually living off the goodness or the weakness of others. Its manipulative behavior is usually to compensate for varying degrees of non-acceptance. So, how does one become a Pharisite? Just a simple math. A Pharisee plus a parasite equals a Pharisite. Quite simple, really, don't you think? But for an interesting demonstration, let us learn from common parasites. Fleas or mga pulgas.
Training fleas requires a glass jar with a lid. The fleas are placed inside the jar and the lid is then sealed. They are left undisturbed for 3 days. Then, when the jar is opened, the fleas will not jump out. In fact, the fleas will never jump higher than the level set by the lid. Their behaviour is now set for the rest of their lives. And, when these fleas reproduce, their offspring will automatically follow their example.
You know, so as not to end up like those fleas, let us examine some marks of Pharisitism. The first mark is boasting. A Pharisite glorifies oneself in speech. He always presents himself as a norm for comparison. He often likes to name drop, that is, to talk about famous people that he met, and he pretends that he knows them better than he really does, in order to appear more important. Or the Pharisite also wants to bask on reflected glories. That is, he likes sharing some of the importance and praise that belongs to someone close to him. A Pharisite loves to engage in negative, upward comparisons, thinking like, I am better than this wretched man. The second mark is rigidity. A Pharisite is lacking in flexibility. He is exacting, he is demanding, and he takes pride in being idealistic, which of course he expresses through his constant complaints and criticisms. He tends to project the ideals that he could not meet onto other inferior ones. He has little person-to-person appeal. Walang charity-charity. Kung meron man, structured charity dapat. Kailangan padaanin pa yan sa board of directors. Dapat may resibo para may tax exempt ako. A Pharisite always has mental unspoken conditions or acerbic commentaries in almost all human conditions. Pharisites really enjoy being with weak ones, serving as their backdrop, so they alone can shine. The third mark is his search for superficial joys. You know, Pharisites are unhappy people who run away from problems and difficulties. Kaya, babawiin ko na lang yan sa kain or material things. He also likes bribing oneself or others to get things done. He also resorts to pseudo-religious therapies, like pretending to receive the gift of tongues maybe because I feel favored by God. Or he engages in crying marathons, madrama, matampuhin, overly emotional. At wala rin siyang pakialam sa feelings ng ibang tao. Only mine matters. My issues, my business, my interests. At eto pa ha, Hindi nahihiyang ipagnalandakan ang negative emotions niya. He does not have second thoughts about his PDA. That means his public display of anger. At higit sa lahat, it's my time that matters. The fourth mark is he has a domineering character, which is translated as superiority complex. How? By frequent engagement in gossiping behaviors, wanting to manipulate the lives of others, by bullying, pasiga-siga, and by display of rudeness in one's behavior. At kung may baril pa yan, maninindak pa yan by pointing a gun at you. A Pharisite is always suspicious of others and often imputes bad intentions on others. The fifth mark is a feigned inferiority complex. Note that this is not really being shy. His attitude of always comparing himself to others is indeed a sign of being extremely proud, as he engages in virtual competitions with others. Thus, he is really afraid to make mistakes. That bruises his ego. Kaya wag na lang akong mag-volunteer. Laylo lang ako. Wag na lang magtaas ng kamay, baka kasi magkamali lang ako eh. O di kaya baka mali yung sagot ko eh. This results to overcompensation. That is, he behaves in an OA way. No? Feigned overacting, like excessive aggressiveness or showing rude and inappropriate humor. Why? Simply to make up for his psychological or emotional defects. So, how do we guard against Pharisitism? Here are some suggestions. First, have a daily examination of conscience. How was my behavior during the day? What can I do more for God? Second, let us cultivate humility. Let us make it a habit to always pray, "O God, be merciful to me, a sinner." Pray for humility. Third, watch out for the 4 big C's. What are they? Comparing, complaining, criticizing, competing. Fourth, free yourself from the box of useless fears and unreasonable legalism. Love and think outside the box. Why? Because it frees you and it liberates the people you love. May God bless us with humble hearts. Amen.